keep my eyes out for that.
That is already, I see a bead of sweat already.
You can't let that happen, but I really like seeing the Camille taken away from Amazing. He's played that 4 times. That is by far his most comfortable champion. I also think that Vander has looked okay when he has been on some roaming supports like the Pyke. That has really been how Schalke have made their plays in the early game, but if Giants can limit that option, that'll make it a lot more difficult for him.
All right, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Aatrox is officially banned this game, Ender, so we're 2 for 2 on the day, and that should continue. Talia also made her way into the ban column for FC Schalke 04. It's over to Giants, though. What will they pick up first?
I really like Zoe on this patch as a first pick. Personally, I think that even with some nerfs to her W scaling, that it is very, very strong, but they might have been watching that Vitality game, Pyra.
I think so, and we've got a Gragas, so we can once again ask the question if it's going to be in that jungle, if it's going to be in the top. This is a flexible pick.
It's very, very likely to be flexed all the way until the very end, because if Giants can keep a little bit of mystery over on the side of Schalke to make it more difficult for Vizicachi to get a strong 1v1 champion in the top lane.
Also, the Braum gets locked in, and the Kai'Sa. Now, I was about to say, oh, okay, Vander's on Braum, and then I realized, wait a minute, funnel comps exist.
It is possible. Now, Schalke have not had a great track record against funnel comps, have lost both games they've played against them, but
so you're saying they should play it themselves?
Hey, maybe they should. Maybe it's just OP. But Schalke, again, they've had that same time off while the other teams went to Rift Rivals to go and learn something themselves. So if the funnel is the way to do it, try it against a team like Giants that has been known to struggle to have plays made early on.
But Giants have made some interesting choices in their own picks. The Yasuo gets locked in, and the Rumble as well.
The Rumble, I think we saw out of Echo Fox back at Rift Rivals against the funnel strategy. Yeah. The idea here being you do have early shoving in the lanes. That means it's definitely going to be a jungle Gragas here for Joko. Give some knockups, try and help out the Yasuo, but we're on 100% funneling with Nuke Duck having that smite.
Yeah, indeed. And the Morgana being locked in means it's now going to go over to phase 2. So Giants, they have 2 more bans to make good to try to limit the effectiveness of this funnel composition, but it's Schalke first, and they're taking their time about it, banning the Shen away. Support Shen for Nukes a lot. Yeah,
very likely we see some bans here towards the support role. I would have assumed for Vander, take that away, because it's very likely we see a Morgana for upset in the bottom lane, actually, instead of necessarily for Vander. If they want to put all these supports, get 4 supports for Nuke Duck's Kai'Sa, that has typically been a good strategy for these teams that want to run the funnels.
Okay, well, looks like at least Amazing is pretty confident in how the team's going to be able to execute this one. Giants still have 12 seconds. They banned the Heimerdinger out from upset, so banking on the fact that maybe Schalke won't go full funnel.
Yeah, well, even if it isn't Morgana support, which it is not, they do have the option for the All-Star. That's the playmaking on this team, because something that you typically see a little bit lacking with the funnel comp is ability to engage fights. That's why we like the Rakan in there, the All-Star as well. We'll give Schalke the tools to make engagements happen in the mid-game when Nuke Duck is at his strongest.
For Giants, though, looks like it's to be more a traditional AD carry choice. Steelback locks in the Ezreal. So starting to get a clearer picture of where everyone's going. Of course, the Yasuo should be in that mid lane for Betsy. We'll be looking for him to make a lot of plays as well. And with the timer ticking down, Tom Kench left up. Nukesalot is going to grab it. It's a very safe bot lane now for Giants.
Yeah, and I like this, going back to the Tom Kench Forcer Nukesalot, because I remember all the way back in the very first game of the split when Giants did get their win, it was him on the Tom Kench, and I remember making Abyssal Voyage plays to have action across the map and get that early game going.
So, Ender, you made a very good point, but I want to change things up a little bit because Vizicachi's on the Poppy.
He's back, baby.
He is back. Well, I mean, this is new Poppy. It's been a while. It's been a long time since Poppy was reworked, but I remember back when this guy used to play the old Poppy, and then when he picked it up on the new Poppy, he was actually making some insanely good plays, and it was what Deficio was saying on the desk, we want to see Vizicachi on a playmaker. Well, Poppy can certainly make plays.
Yeah, and her ability to shut down dashes against champions like Yasuo and Gragas can be very, very powerful. Maybe not quite as good against a Rumble in lanes. Very likely she just gets shoved in early on, but that's exactly what Giants are going to be going for. They need early aggression. They need to have a little bit more proactivity out of Joko, who is on a Gragas that can make these early plays.
Yeah, we'll have to be watching on Joko. Obviously, the top and the mid lane have the ability to make plays early on. It does seem like Giants have decided to leave their bottom lane a little bit safer. Maybe they're going to be a little bit more just sustainable, just farming up back and forth. But keep an eye on where Joko goes. We'll keep an eye on Ruin and Betsy this game to see if they can shut down the funnel. All on Nuke Duck, though, for the Schalke side.
It's a lot of eggs in his basket. He's got tanks, supports, and then him on that Kai'Sa, the pick that Perks brought out here in the EU LCS and dominated the league on. Now it's up to Nuke Duck to get another win on the board here for Schalke and try to inch them closer towards that playoff spot.
Yeah, big chip on the shoulders of Schalke. These guys came in saying they were going to have a redemption split. They wanted to pick up the pieces, but they've gone only 2-4 so far. A third win would mean quite a lot to this team, and they've had a lot of tough opponents to face off. So now that the schedule gets a little lighter here, we'll see if they're able to make it happen. Starting off on the Rift, though, looks like there won't be too many shenanigans out of Schalke as they spread out, matched evenly by Giants in formation.
Remember that Giants, for them getting a win here, would tie them up in the standings with Schalke and try to bring them back into the conversation a bit for playoffs, as the analyst desk and on Ready Check was talking about earlier. Giants aren't really in that picture at the moment, but if they can take a game against a team that's relatively even to them in the standings at the time being, that'll be a very major step in the right direction for them.
So who's your standout player for this game? Knowing the compositions, there's carry potential in a lot of roles. Who are you looking at?
I'm looking at Betsy on the Yasuo because, let me tell you, this guy has been the best performing player on this Giants lineup, and now he's on the Yasuo. He has the ability to try and make stuff happen and try to carry. He's also got Joko on the Gragas, who can set up some really big last breaths later on, so it's really, the ball is in his court to carry this game.
We'll see if he's able to do it. Of course, he may not have to actually lane against Nuke Duck because Nuke Duck is going to be tag teaming with Amazing for the rest of this game as we start off on the red buff.
Yeah. Very similar. We saw smites out of the mid laners in the last game. Now we have, I guess, a smite out of the mid laner. I don't know. He's jungler. He's
it's just one smite on either side, right? Like, Amazing is doing his best Yankos cosplay, and we'll see if it comes down to actually contesting objectives. It's only one smite for one smite this time.
Yeah, but again, here's the idea. You want to clear out your jungle camps and not miss any minions in the middle lane. So actually, Nuke Duck, because he held on to a smite on that red buff, was denied at least one minion's worth of experience. Very small in the grand scheme of things, but it's those tiny advantages that you're really trying to build up when you are putting all of these resources into the one player.
It can make all the difference for a funnel composition, absolutely. And now Nuke Duck will fire down the last one. He's going to be going roaming and leaving Betsy alone for a little while. We'll see if there are going to be any plays down bottom, though. The Zaward's going to spot them moving towards the Scuttle Crab. Should be easy for them to take that one out, starting this one off. And everything else is just a standard start.
Yeah, and even though we've sort of looked at Schalke and said they're not necessarily a team that will make that many proactive plays, now in a game like this, when you're running a strategy such as the funnel comp, we don't ask that of them anymore. They're purely just putting all of this money into Nuke Duck, clearing the minion waves, going back to the mid lane. They have about 35 seconds in between each wave when it crashes into the turret, so they'll pick up this wave with the cannon minion, shove out the next one, then go back into the jungle and start clearing things out again. The difference comes how Giants play against it, because right now Betsy is trying to leash over this Raptor camp and steal away those precious resources here from Schalke.
This is critical right now to be able to try and deny a little bit of the farm.
That didn't work.
He didn't quite do it successfully, but I liked the thought here. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about it, specifically the champion choice when you go down to playing this funnel composition. For people who haven't been watching the last couple of weeks, maybe scratching your head, why is Nuke Duck playing Kai'Sa in the mid lane with Smite? Talk to me about why the Kai'Sa is the preferred funnel champion.
Right, well, with Kai'Sa specifically, she has very strong damage against single target camps. We're going to see Joko, though, looking for a play in the top lane.
All right, Chachi, he's only level 3. He can't really stop any pushes, but he does flash, and the steadfast presence is not enough. He gets barbecued, but Joko takes the kill. It's first blood.
Very early pop there of the steadfast presence. He loses his flash. Neither Ruin or Joko lose their own, and Joko's continuing to steal away those camps on the top side of the map. So this is about as well as the early game can go here for Giants.
Yeah. So Schalke, they don't seem too busted up about it, but Chachi left a little bit out to dry. This is part of the weakness of the composition. They can't really react as fast to Giants making plays like that.
Yeah, your side lanes will just typically lose when you're playing the funnel comp. I think G2 has been the only team for me that's proven the ability to actually have lanes that win and actually not be punished in the end, thanks to the fantastic play out of them. But Chachi is going to have to step up a bit. Now without the flash, has a giant target on the back of his head for Joko to repeat.
Yeah. Fortunately for him, he's getting a little bit of free farm to try and even the gap a little bit. But as you mentioned, Ruin was going to give him a hard time no matter what. And for Giants, well, their game's already looking a little bit more up than we've seen so far this split. Remember, these guys are on a 5-game losing streak, so getting their second first blood of the summer split, that's what feels good, man.
Definitely is. We're still early on into the split, so it's not too condemning of them, but definitely shows you that Joko has not been the most active jungler in the early game, and now that he's on the Gragas with the Electrocute as well, that's definitely gearing up to make those plays. And you look across the map, Well, Upset and Vander shoving in that bottom lane. That potentially leaves them vulnerable to a visit from Joko. Teleport on Ruin as well makes you start thinking, if the next place for Giants is going to look, or where are they going to look, maybe it could be that bottom lane.
Well, for the time being, everyone's hovering around the mid, but Joko's more interested in trying to pick up his own farm rather than try and contest anything versus Nukeduck and Amazing. Checking in, of course, with the farm differential. It's kind of hard to do the exact comparison because one's farming the mid lane, one is farming the rest of the map. But meanwhile, it looks like there's going to be a play down bottom. Nuke-a-lot is already Nuke-a-lot. Level 6! What assault! Nukeduck's going to pick up the kill and let the funnel begin. Teleport canceled for Ruin.
That was the most insane level up timing I've seen in a while. He hit level 6 off of a minion that died very, very nearby him. Ticks over from the CC landed
Instant
by
killer
Vander.
instinct.
Immediately goes in. That was nuts.
Yeah, okay. Well, good job for Nukeduck picking up his kill. And despite the fact the Giants have a gold lead across the board, well, what gold Schalke do have is definitely starting to stack up on the Nukeduck side of the map. So, already working his way forward. Not too many items built out, just a couple of daggers as well as a jungling item, Skirmisher's Saber. But that will change in not too much time.
Speaking of those jungle items, for Joko, he's actually building a little bit of AP with that Fiendish Codex. We have seen in the past a few different buffs to AP Gragas to increase his damage and make that option a little bit more viable, and it really does play into this idea that Joko is going for kills early on.
Oh, we saw that last game. I mean, yes, it was a top lane Gragas, but still, you build the AP, you can still dish the damage. No one saw that.
Come on, Nukeduck! You're a professional.
Every professional misses sometimes. Speaking of missing, I think Vizichachi is wondering if Joko might be in his brush. There we go. Nicely placed on the ward, and he throws the hammer down very preemptively. He doesn't want to deal with that Gragas again.
And now Betsy enters the fray immediately. A lot of damage potential to put down onto this top lane turret.
Poor Chachi.
He's just getting bullied up there.
I mean, he's only died once, so like, give him some credit. He saw that one coming at least.
Yeah, but getting forced off of his top lane turret, and because Giants have so much pressure, that enables Joko to steal that away. Look at the minion that dies to another minion on the red side, gives Nukeduck the level 6, and I think that flash was maybe a little bit more than he had to use, but still gets the kill and gets out.
Well, Rumble will definitely be a key playmaker in this game. That teleport timing being down means that Giants aren't going to be able to react nearly as much as they would have been able to a few minutes ago. Let's see if Schalke make use of that timing window. Force any plays.
They do trade red buffs on the other side of the map, but Joko has just stayed in this top lane, even after getting kicked out by the keeper's verdict. He's right back there, and the turret's being taken down relatively low for this stage in the game. Again, when you're against a funnel composition, it's very important to knock down that outer ring of turrets, because once you do that, if you're on the side of Giants, it becomes so easy to invade the enemy jungle, take away those camps, and make it so that a character who realistically wants to have two funnels of resources, two areas to go get those, can only access the one.
Yeah, try to squeeze it out a little bit. I mean, it's interesting how the objective of the game, or at least the objective of what you're playing for early on, changes when this funnel composition comes in, because you have to think a little bit differently. However, right now, it is all about taking down the tower. It looks like they've double-teamed on Chachi. The red carpet gets rolled out for him, and the barrel as well. Well, they're throwing him a party, but I don't think he wanted to go.
Wow, that was absolutely brutal, and there were just a few seconds left on Vizichachi's flash. Excellent timing window exploited there from Joko to get not only the kill, but also the turret on the back end, and Schalke can't make any reply other than, I guess we go get that Scuttle Crab on the bot side again.
Yeah, well, that's a consolation prize. And it's crucial because Ruin, who not only has a CS lead, also now has kill gold in his pocket. And it's only 9 minutes into this game. At some point, when the laning phase ends, Ruin is going to be so crucial to these Giants team fights. We've seen what Rumble can do. And he's got a Leandri's Torment already.
That's deadly up there. 1,200 gold lead for him over Chachi at the moment. You talked a bit about laning phase and when it's going to end. Giants want that to end as soon as possible. They have teleport on Ruin. If they can set up a play around the bottom side of the map, that's the dream case scenario for them. They can make a team fight happen before Nukeduck has scaled up too far, because right now, Nukeduck and Joko feel like they're relatively even. They both have their jungle items. That's going to mean that fights should go the way of Giants.
It should. Is always the thing you have to add onto that one. Now, we wanted to see Betsy stepping up, making some plays. It hasn't been so much about the laning because he hasn't really been facing down against anybody, but he himself will also have the ability to have an impact. For now, though, he's really only sitting on boots and a couple of swords.
Eventually, we'll be getting to that Phantom Dancer, but right now it's been the Joko show.
Speaking of Joko, looking for Amazing, turns back with the knock-up Glacial Fissure. It means that Ruin can't go in on him either. Of course, Ruin's still hanging on to his equalizer, or rather, hanging on to the cooldown of his equalizer. Still a few seconds left to go on that one. But it looks like Giants will be able to start off on the Rift Herald. Not a whole lot that Schalke can do to contest it right now. Another one of those weaknesses of the funnel comp. You can't be everywhere in the same way as a standard composition.
And again, Giants just want to take this so they themselves can knock down that second turret. But Vander's actually roamed all the way up, so Schalke are going to force Giants off of that objective.
Ah, nicely played. Okay. Schalke stopped that one for now. Remember, they're still down in the gold game. It's about 2,000 in the lead, but Schalke, it's all about getting this Kaisa ahead. Still moving forward. The level 2 boots, of course, picked up in addition to finishing the Blood Razor.
It is important to note, we talked a bit about the Gragas and how he worked very well into the Kindred in the last game, but against the Braum, that's a very good tool, having that, that unbreakable wall to cancel out the explosive cask from coming in. Morgana as well will limit the ability for Joko to find those engagements. So it is very important now that Giants control a specific area of the map so they can find picks, because actually starting off an actual team fight might be a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, there's a couple approaches when you try to place off against the funnel comp, right? You try to shut it down early on, stop the funnel from actually happening. But barring that, because the Kaisa hasn't had too much trouble actually getting any of that gold, you can just try and control the options that she has to get more. And speaking of control, Schalke are really stopping this Rift Herald from happening. And now Ruin and Joko, they might get pincered here. They're starting this fight off, though. There goes the equalizer down. Betsy incoming. Chachi looking around the side, not going to find anything. Both teams actually going to back off. Or wait a minute, they're going in. Two-man. Keeper's verdict for Visit Chachi denies the fight.
Chachi's like, guys, stop. Leave me alone. I will use that verdict on you and get you out of my face. Man, but that shows how difficult it is for Giants to find those engagements, because against any other list of champions on Schalke's side, Joko body slam flashes forward, drops down that ultimate to start it off.
Yeah, and it seems like Giants have really got a good reason for trying to pick on Chachi this game. He has the most isolated deaths in the league right now, and we have seen some questionable performances out of him. But Nuke Duck, nothing questionable about this play. Easy peasy pick up, steal back if you want it. Nuke Duck's going to take that one, but Giants instantly reacting to the mid tower.
Yeah, Giants are going to be decently okay with this. They are intentionally leaving Steel back out to dry in the bottom lane so they can play around this middle lane, and now they finally have the opportunity, I think, to go up and secure that Rift Herald for themselves, which will in turn get them that bottom turret, and that could be 3 turrets to none, massively in favor of Giants.
Yeah. While Schalke are really playing for the kills on the Kaisa, Giants have pretty much been playing on the rest of the map. Now Chachi does chase Joko away from the red buff, so no steal happening there.
I don't like that from Joko. I think he should have gone for the Herald right there. Taking away the red buff, sure, you deny it from Nuke Duck, that's great, but Giants should be playing a larger game, looking at what could come from that Rift Herald take, and now Schalke have their dual lane up there, which should stop Giants from ever taking that objective.
More opportunistic play. Now, there was a lot made of Giants and their focus on maybe playing it out in the late game. Obviously, they do have a lot of late game power in this composition. But overall, it seems like they have been a little bit more proactive, a little bit more playing for the laning phase, even if it hasn't been pushed as well as you'd like. This evolution from Giants, do you like where this is headed?
Oh, I love it, and I think it's mandatory against a composition like Schalke's that you have to make this early move, especially out of Joko. Playing around Ruin in the top lane has been a very good look for them. It's just about moving that forward, because we've reached this point where we're no longer in the traditional laning phase. Few turrets have gone down. There's not necessarily that clear of an area for Giants to attack on that map apart from the Rift Herald. And now that Schalke are showing a very clear will to stop Giants from getting that at any cost, it's going to become a lot more difficult for Giants to try and extend that 2,000 gold lead they have.
Yeah. Schalke definitely coming alive a little bit more, so Giants are going to find themselves a little hard-pressed. I feel like the 5v5 fight, though, is definitely something they still don't want to take, despite the fact that they were looking to chase people down left and right. Giants have been a little quicker on the draw. It's just they keep picking on the guy with a hammer.
Yeah, they definitely have to kill Nuke Duck in these fights if they are going to be breaking out, because that is where all the money is on Schalke. He's level 11 at the moment, which actually isn't a lead over Betsy. I think Betsy and Joko have done a good job of denying camps away from Nuke Duck so far, and that's meant that overall it's dead even between the jungle mid 2v2s.
Yeah, it's just, you just got to flip the gold values in there between who has what, because unfortunately Amazing is not really able to get a whole lot of gold this game, since he's basically playing Butler for Nuke Duck.
Yeah, Mazen's having a good time, though. He's like, you know what? I don't have to gank if I'm just playing this Braum. I get to, you know, partner around with you and put all the responsibilities into Nuke Duck's.
Yeah, it's a chill game. You know, you just get to lay back. You know, there's a few moments of panic when, oh, they might be killing my guy. Now I could jump into the action. But for the most part, he gets to just take a scenic tour of Summoner's Rift and observe everything.
Aha, but finally, Schalke have all recalled at the same exact time. And Giants didn't even necessarily know that. They've started up the Rift Herald on top of a control ward, and unless they get spooked from Vander showing up here, this should be an easy secure for them.
They have been spooked quite a lot, though, but they're really persistent in trying to take down this Rift Herald. And this time, there's not a lot happening that can stop them. So with 3 members invested, they will finally secure this one. Remember, Giants have the 2 towers to the 0 that Schalke have been able to secure. Amazing and Vander show up to see the Rift Herald getting popped. However, let's see if they stay a little too long. Giants realize they might be able to force a fight here with the Kai'Sa still sitting in mid.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because Schalke are playing like they're the ones with the gold lead, grouping up with 4 members, 3 members around this middle lane because Nuke Duck has his Ginsu's range blade. The completed 2 items means that if they get lane priority, they can just collapse and punish side laners like Ruin right here.
That's exactly what they're trying to do. Here we go, Killer Instinct on Flash. At the last second, Ruin gets out of harm's way. And that Kai'Sa definitely getting very scary. Nuke Duck can start off on the Krugs. Let's take a look, though, at the Ginsu's. It actually changed. It got a bit of a nerf on this last patch.
Yeah, it means when you're getting those auto attacks down, you're not getting quite as much AD/AP percentage scaling on up. So realistically, this is a weaker version of the funnel strategy of the funnel Kai'Sa because of that nerf. But at the same in the same vein, she doesn't have a lot of AP, AD at the moment, so it's not going to be the end of the world for her right now.
No, take a little longer. I mean, the funnel is a little more constricted. You still have to wait a little while longer now. Maybe we will get to that late game that Giants are always talking about in this one, but we're still only 16 and a half in. Nukesalot, meanwhile, pairing up with Steelback in the mid lane to try and push this one down. I want to see that Rift Herald actually popped here, because Giants have been playing defensively despite their gold lead.
It's been very slow ever since Schalke started roaming Vander around the map. That's been the big difference maker for me in Schalke's games, because a lot of the time, every single gank that comes from them, from Amazing, is paired up with Vander roaming towards the mid lane, and even though they haven't been proactive with ganks in that sense, it has been about getting Vander to escort Nuke Duck and Amazing around the map and really just force Giants away from the river and giving Schalke control over this map.
Ooh, Chachi, he might be going for some revenge right now, looking for the 1v1 on Ruin. Actually turns around, and the Rift Herald is going to get popped in the bottom. While Schalke are all sitting towards the mid looking to contest this dragon, Giants might have found an opening to take down tower number 3 here, and it looks like it will be the case. Will they force the fight, though? That's the question. Nukesalot has Abyssal Voyage if he wants to get in here, but the dragon's already gone down.
A little bit of a concern. Oh, actually, they're teleporting in. They're going.
That is very late on the teleport right now. Ruin is actually going to not finish the channel.
I mean, there's a great ward right there above Joko that they could have TP'd to if they wanted to go for some sort of crazy play, but not too sure what that was about. Definitely some miscommunication on the side of Giants.
It was all about chasing them away from the bottom lane so the Rift Herald could do its thing. So it was an investment, Ender.
Well, that's like the worst investment of all time.
I didn't say it was a good one. I just said it was an investment. All right, Betsy going forward, escorting the Rift Herald as well, but don't think he'll be able to find any more damage except the initial charge, since Upset and Vander are here to try and push him back. That is a good one. Gets it down to about 2/3 of its health bar.
Right now, though, Schalke moving a few members up towards the top side of the map. This is when it gets really scary for the side lanes of Giants, because at the start of the game, it is very much in the favor of the team playing against the funnel comp, because they're the ones with a jungler that can make plays and can look for ganks. But you hit this point around the 10-15 minute mark where all of a sudden the funnel duo has permanent control over the mid lane. They're shoving out waves and moving. And you don't know if they're moving into their own jungle to farm their camps, or if they're coming to gank you and dive you, which is the situation that the Giants have found themselves in a few times now.
Well, Giants do have some power in their items as well. We've seen a couple of spikes come in. Steelback has his Trinity Force picked up. We talked about Betsy earlier on. You were saying he wasn't quite there with the Phantom Dancer. Well, he's got it now. Unless we forget that Ruin's been sitting on his Landry Stormman for a while. So if these guys group up and get those picks you've been talking about, they're going to be the scary ones. But they've got to anticipate the moves from Schalke.
Yeah, I definitely think the Giants, their mid-game team fighting is the strength of this composition on 2 items, with Betsy having his Phantom Dancer plus Infinity Edge once they get there. Steelback as well, the Mirror Mana, as soon as it stacks up, that's going to be such a strong spike for this team to try and fight off of. It's just been difficult for them to find an opening. They really just have to pick a corner of the map and say, Schalke, come fight us here, because we're not going to give over any of that control.
And Schalke have been a little more slippery than that, too. So I think it's been frustrating for Giants. They've been trying to find something. I think that's why they maybe went for that quick teleport play, despite the fact that Schalke was already moving off. And Joko, he gets caught for just a second, but he's still able to make it over the wall with the dash. And Schalke, they're the ones that are throwing the weight a little bit more around the map right now. Ruin stuck on bottom side wave duty, and he doesn't have TP.
And there's a lot of pings up on the top side of the map for Schalke, and exactly because Ruin doesn't have that teleport. And we know the 20-minute Baron has been somewhat of a curse for Schalke. They've had teams take it away from them at 20 minutes. They themselves have tried to start it up when they have fallen behind. But this game hasn't really felt too much like a traditional Schalke game in the sense that it stays even for a very long time, then blows up around the 20-minute mark. It has been a big lead for Giants right at the start and then slowed down a ton. Yeah,
it's a very different pace. It's obviously the funnel comp is a big part of that, but Schalke clearly trying to change things, and they need to. These guys are not looking as good as they expected of themselves coming into this split. Schalke wanted to not be in a situation where they were only 2 wins on the board, in danger of falling down to the same territory as Giants, their opponents right now. Speaking of Giants, making the proactive moves, it looks like they're going for the objectives onto the top side. Nuxalot brings Steel back along for the ride with Betsy, and they're free hitting this tower.
The rest of Schalke just weren't ready quite to proactively go against this play, but they have brought up 4 members at the moment. Chachi does have teleport, but not going to go for the fight, just going to try and stop the turret from falling.
Just barely. It's a stiff breeze is going to knock that one over, and this is the game you were talking about, the average game that Schalke actually has, is they have played very even games up until that 20-minute mark, and then it just falls apart. And this is what they were saying on the desk. It seems like they let you win, but this game is very different already.
Yeah, on the desk they're talking about how when Schalke make that one mistake, they just shut down and they stop making any plays. So far this game, it's been just keep on trugging along, get Nukeduck more and more gold. He's working on Death's Dance now, looks like currently, to get some more survivability on this build. And if this game continues to stall out, I give more and more stock over to Schalke as Nukeduck continues to get stronger and stronger.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you want to have this hyperscaling. It has been a very slow burn of a game, though. Like 4 combined kills in 22 minutes, considering the early start there. Barrel gets dodged out by the Alistair. Vander, a lot of Schalke members up towards the top side trying to knock down this turret. I mean, that's standing gold, and they haven't really let Giants grow their lead this game. It has been that 2K for like 10 minutes now.
It just hasn't moved even an inch. I think a lot of that is because they have just put on this power stance on the side of Schalke where they group up with all their members, say, you know what, Giants, this game feels even. This feels like even Schalke have a slight advantage the way they are actively moving themselves around the map. And you can see even with their play around the Baron, realistically, they shouldn't have control over this side of the map. Giants should be able to walk on in there, own the vision, and stop Schalke from moving forward, but that's just not been the case so far this match.
Yeah, and even in the 1v1 situation, we just saw it there with Chachi and Ruin, it's actually fairly even as well. And a lot of this, you know, give Chachi some credit. After he gets completely beat on for like 10 minutes of this game, he gets the adaptive helm, and now he can 1v1.
But what do Giants do? How do they get out of this hole is what I'm looking at.
I'm looking at Betsy. I want to see this guy going for the crazy plays, man.
Yeah, I'm looking at Betsy. I'm looking at Ruin as well, because we talked a bit about how it's much harder for Joko to find the initiation, but I think the Equalizer is a fantastic tool to be able to start off a fight from long range, slow down the enemy team, start them burning, and now that he has the teleport available, Giants could look for some sort of a flanking play. Sir Nukeslot 2 has the Abyssal Voyage. There are tools in the arsenal of Giants. We just need to see them actually use them now.
Yeah, speaking of using their tools, Nukeduck, he does send out. Void Assault goes in on the Killer Instinct, looking for Joko. Look at that damage. He's going to be able to get it before the fight even begins.
That's not a full tank Joko right there. No armor on his side, and instantly blows up in the face of Nukeduck.
Yeah. I mean, he saw it coming, and he couldn't stop it at this point. This is what happens, the downside of going that more AP-oriented Gragas. Yes, there's also an adaptive helm, but MR doesn't work that well against AD.
Yeah, it does do some against the Kai'Sa, of course, has the Ginsu's Rage Blade, but this is not the traditional full tank Grugs that we've seen a whole lot in the past. Not to say that it was a mistake on the side of Joko, it's just something that needed to be a little bit more offensive earlier on and needed to not let things slow down on his end.
But it's Schalke that are dictating the pace once again, so they go for the kill. They grab themselves a Mountain Drake as well, and they're the ones moving around this map and forcing Giants to respond, where Giants actually need to be the ones going in. That gold lead has cut down to 1,000.
It's evening up. So much gold on Nukeduck. Wow, 12,400 against the 9K on the side of Betsy. Level 16 too, so that shield's going to be very, very big. for this Kaisa. And
Super Kaisa.
Yeah, the Death Dance should be completed very soon as well. So that 3 item is going to be almost unbeatable. I feel like Nuke Duck is definitely unbeatable at the moment in a 1v1, 1v2 even. Giants are going to have to put so much effort into actually taking him down if they want to win a fight.
And Nuke Duck is the kind of player that you really can do this with as well. As Vander goes in, looks for steal back, gets swallowed up by Nukes a lot. This is without the Kaisa around there, as Nuke Duck has not actually found an opening just yet. They get the knock up, the last breath. Betsy's going in for the cow. Do they have the damage to actually finish him off? Nuke Duck turns back. Joko once again upset, flashing forward. And even gets a Q down. Nuke Duck still right in the thick of things. Black Shield holding strong for the time being, but they don't find the kill this time.
Yeah, Ruin was trying to rotate up through the Riven. Giants were sorely missing the equalizer in that team fight. It was a little bit disjointed. The initial move...
Oh, hello.
Okay.
What just happened?
So what happened very likely was Vichichachi flash E'd, and then Nuke Duck spat all his buttons on Ruin and killed him.
Oh, that's good play-by-play, man.
Yeah, no, I'm an expert.
We got to see that one again. Hopefully we get the replay in just a minute, but you blinked and you missed it, and we certainly did. 25.5 minutes, Schalke, 4 kills, all of them in Nuke Duck's pocket. It is a slow burner of a game, but the funnel is funneling.
The funnel has funneled, I feel like, as the Death Dance we've been talking about for a little while has finally come through from Nuke Duck. Here it is.
There we go.
So Ruin turns around.
This was his mistake.
Yeah, this is during the fight where he was trying to actually run through the river, and Chachi was straight up zoning him from getting into that fight. Really needed the equalizer in that one. Flashy, I guess.
Oh,
there you go.
right into the wall. Instant killer
Wow.
instinct. I love that.
And instantly, oh, he loses the flash too. That's brutal. That is rough.
Feels bad, man. Feels great, though, if you're Nuke Duck right now. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more about this guy because the funnel composition is definitely something that can suit a guy that has so much upside in his playstyle. Remember, Nuke Duck has been around for so long, and he still has, I want to say, moments, a little more than flashes of brilliance. He can step up and carry big games. We remember what he was able to do up against Perks the last time they met in the spring split. And it's pretty impressive when he actually gets onto a roll.
There's
and
a
now let's see
teleport.
teleport coming in, but Nuke Duck doesn't care. He's in onto the Tom Kench. Nuke Slot instantly is able to pop his Grey Help, but Ruin around the side, not finding anyone for now, and he's actually caught, isolated from the team. True Shot Barrage comes in, just clips the health bar. Visit Chachi upset, being turned back on, but there's the damage. Nuke Duck with the 5th kill of the game for him. 3-man knockup from the Yasuo, but Betsy doesn't want to go in on that one.
Well, again, these TPs from Ruin just don't feel like they're working because Ruin comes into that fight. His equalizer was still on cooldown. Didn't have that to lay down 5 members. Sure, Deficio, whatever you want.
This is what I was leading up to, but Deficio just basically got to the good part. And yeah, Year of Nuke Duck, maybe with the funnel it can be again. Let's take a look at that fight one more time.
Ruin doesn't have equalizer. The bottom bar at the screen is lying to you right now. Ruin could have, if he does have it, lay down 5 members right now. There's a chance for Giants to come in and just wombo these guys into oblivion, but he gets caught out. No flash on him, as you remember when he got picked off the last time.
There's just not a lot of coordination in these team fights. It seems like Giants, they're struggling to know how to react, and meanwhile their gold lead is evaporating even further. 400, 500, that's all that separates these two teams. And the Super Kaisa is still getting bigger.
It's not going to slow down until it's 6 items, boots are sold, and
yeah, this is a Mega Kaisa right
is
now,
down.
actually. If I'm going by my nomenclature.
The Mega Kaisa?
Mega Kaisa.
What comes after Mega Kaisa?
Giga Kaisa.
Giga Kaisa.
Yeah. And then if you're into computer terms, Terra Kaisa.
That is technically true.
Yeah. I mean, if I was actually following it along, we would have started with Kilo Kaisa, but that would get really confusing with the metric system.
I mean, I don't understand metric system anyway,
yeah,
so you know.
You've got some time.
Yeah, you've been here a while, so I guess you have it under.
Do you know what a kilometer is, Andrew?
I do.
Oh, good. Okay.
Kind of like a mile, but a little bit less.
Yeah. Don't anybody correct him. He's new.
But I'm right. You can't just say don't correct me when I'm right.
I mean, I don't think you gave enough information, but I'm not going to quiz you just yet.
Okay.
All right. So Schalke are now in a fairly commanding position. I don't know if they're strong enough to just straight up take this Baron because the equalizer is on cooldown, or off cooldown now. So Ruin still can make some serious damage happen if Schalke group up.
Yeah, there's 3rd item for Steelback completed too. Blade of the Ruined King, Infinity Edge on Betsy, massive for them. So I really do feel like this is the best time for Giants to try and win a fight at this point.
But speaking of massive, we haven't actually seen any big plays out of Betsy this game. I feel a little let down. You pick a Yasuo, and I want to see some like crazy like montage skin spotlights moments, but we haven't seen him go in.
I mean, it's tough when you don't have a 1v1 matchup. Because Nuke Duck is, you know, going with the Friday. Okay.
Okay, now we've got the fight. Let's see if we've got the damage. Nuke Duck, though, is protected on the front line. That equalizer does not do enough. Ruin wants to go back in with the barbecue on. Let's see if Giants feel the second wind here. Steelback stepping forward, nearly takes the lead to Joko. He's found it. It looks like Upset's going down first, but Nuke Duck still on the backside, trying to make something out of nothing. Betsy is going to fall. However, Giants have already found Upset and Vander. Chachi staying alive just barely, but Giants take the fight.
That's exactly what we've needed to see out of Giants for the last 10 minutes. Force a fight. Use your summoner spells. Go in. Now they're headed straight over towards the Baron. This is the play they need to make and need to work out.
Okay, let's see if Schalke can do anything at this point to try and find it back. It looks like the Baron's actually not going to get taken, so they don't have to.
Okay, I got a little excited there. Thought they were definitely going to go over to that with Schalke.
Giants are playing cautious.
At the moment. They are playing cautious, and that concerns me because more time you give to this Kai'Sa, the stronger she gets. But it is a great start to the fight. Again, finding the plays. Double knock up there onto Nuke Duck and to the Morgana, so there couldn't be a Black Shield to come out initially. That meant that they could take down Vander and win out in the team fight.
Yeah. And Nuke Duck, he barely gets out of harm's way here. So, like, that's pretty critical, the fact that Giants were able to take him effectively out of the fight for some time. He has no flash now, which means if Giants want to take that fight once again, they might be able to do it. And that 4,148 damage from Ruin is going to be the difference maker in that one, and probably for all the fights to come.
Yeah, it's not actually the equalizer, because it's actually, you know, skewing the scales in the favor of Giants when he is able to get that
More
off.
like Flame Spitter, just consistently, yeah.
Yes. Look for more plays. Make it happen.
Oh, there it is. Now that one's going to be big, but is it going to be enough? Chachi looking to come around the side for the flank. Giants decide they don't want to take that fight, so equalizer for nothing.
But what do they move into now? They don't have a minion wave to work with in the mid lane. Right now, Schalke are actually just taking the Cloud Drake on the bottom side of the map, so it's a cooldown blown on the side of Ruin and an objective secured by Schalke.
It's a very interesting dance, this game, back and forth. I feel like both teams kind of don't have the best feeling of rhythm. They're opportunistic. Obviously, Schalke have been on the up and up, but Giants are uncertain when they want to actually make the next move.
And right now, Schalke just pushing down that middle lane. They don't have the minions necessarily to work with this. They're actually keeping the one alive to stop the backdoor bonus from dropping, and Giants, they're just dancing around this objective.
They could have traded. They could have traded. What? They didn't do it.
They're going to look for a fight, potentially with Vander getting chunked out so low.
Okay, now dodge out the Kai'Sa W. Vander does get chunked, and he actually is forced to use his ultimate as well. Chachi spends his, but it misses Betsy. Giants, they're on the Baron here. Now Schalke, are they going to be able to react in time? Is Baron even low enough for it to matter? Giants, they get cold feet once again. Joko keeps it aggroed. But now, this has gotten a little bit haywire here. Baron is not nearly low enough, and Giants, they've got to get out of there.
Joko's looking for the flank, though. He has the ultimate to try and make it work.
Okay, he gets one. It only knocks him away, and Chachi goes in, gets the bang onto the wall of the Gragas. Here goes Nuke Duck into the backside. Now, the equalizer not going to find a target at all, and Schalke turn the heat right up. Ruin is going to get ruined as soon as that stopwatch ends, flashing out of harm's way. But how long can he last? Amazing still tanking the line, and he goes down with Ruin, but that is a 2-for-1 trade, and now it's Schalke's time at the Baron.
Schalke winning the Baron tango right there so hard. They forced Giants to start that objective up, backed away at the right time and baited him in.
No fight, no smite. It looks like they tried to get a little bit of extra damage, but in the end of the day, the Super Kai'Sa secures the Baron. And now at 33 minutes, Schalke firmly in that driver's seat.
They finally have the chance to start sieging down these turrets. With so many supports to buff up a marksman, it's very easy to take those down. I liked the idea from Joko, getting the flank so that the cask could get behind that Braum Unbreakable, but he missed it. He only hit onto one member. It was not enough. And his team paid the price for it.
Yeah. I gotta think you can apply that to Giants this game in general. I like the idea, but the execution needs some work.
Yeah, and again, it just slowed down a little bit too much for me. There are questions they'll be asking themselves, like after they won that fight, could they then have gone for the Baron? But they have to look forward now.
But it's encouraging for Schalke because, as you can see, the Baron control for this team has not been so great, let's say. So playing this funnel composition, playing the style that's different from what we've seen out of them and what they struggled themselves against is now definitely bearing some fruit. Now, who's to say this is going to work against a team that's stronger than Giants? But you need something. And this is definitely a confidence booster right now for Schalke 04.
Yep, it's taken them a nice, long, slow pace, but okay.
As soon as you say it, Ender, they're going to turn it right around. Nuke Duck gets Amazing to tag back on in. Do they have the damage? Chachi around the flank. Steelback will pick up Amazing, but I think the rest of the team might be caught out. Chachi takes down Joko meanwhile, and it looks like Nuke Duck is trying to nuke them all down, staying alive. Okay. But Giants finding the fight, and Steelback can't
Steelback.
quite get the shutdown, but he does before falling for the triple kill.
That Kaisa is nuts, but Giants win the team fight in their own jungle. Huge loss there for Schalke, as Giants now have their eyes set on a turret.
All right, now that was a bloody brawl, but Giants trying to make the most of the situation, finding themselves ahead in the game. Finally, Nukeslot and Ruin going to fire down this tower. Some much-needed gold will flow into their pockets after all said and done, and Chachi can only get there in time to wave goodbye to the tower.
We say they need the gold, but we're just dead even between these two teams at the moment. It's just all in the favor of Nuke, but he's the guy that goes in right off the bat. He had a frozen mallet in his inventory. He says, I'm tanky enough to make this happen, but when the rest of his team has to commit into this choke point, it's Betsy and Steelback destroying on top of the equalizer. The three-man NATO from Betsy really turned this fight around.
Yeah, finally the damage starting to come through for Giants' pair of carries, and Nuke just bleeding so low. He almost outplays Steelback here. That was crazy. And then he dies eventually, but still, like, wow. That's a super Kaisa.
Yeah, and there was an old adage where you said you don't fight against a Rumble in a tight choke point. That's exactly what Schalke did. They put down the giant equalizer. On top of that, the last breath from Betsy. Insane.
Yep. I feel like Schalke definitely want to take the fights in a situation where they can chase Giants down, not where they actually have to get up front, up close and personal. So still, despite the 10 kills for Nukeduck on that Kaisa and that Frozen Mallet in tow, he's not quite sold his boots yet. We're not a Giga Kaisa.
Hey, but he did sell his jungle item for an Essence Reaver.
That's
so going to have the increased cooldown reduction whenever he pops that ultimate to spam out those abilities, stay invisible for a very long time in case Giants ever do manage to catch him out. And they're still having that one Baron buff. They're still trying to siege down the base.
Yeah, see if they're going to be able to do it here. A couple of minions still holding tough, but the rest of Giants have taken their stand. The base has not been broken open on either side this game. It has been very close, very tense, down to the wire, and now the Baron has evaporated, which means the Giants live to fight another day. Yeah, maybe we're getting to that late game.
Hey, maybe. It's funny, too, because Giants comp really felt like it was built to play around the mid-game. They got an early advantage. They played very differently, but because they weren't quite able to make as much use of it, now they're forced to go into that late game that they're supposedly love.
Is there some kind of irony in that?
I think so.
Okay. Well, Chachi can't save the tower up top. It's 5-5, though. We are very even, as we consistently point out. The biggest difference maker, I feel, aside from the compositions themselves, is the fact that Schalke have all these dragons.
Yeah, the Elder Dragon spawning in 20 seconds is going to be so big for Schalke. And right now, there's tons of deep vision for them. They'll know exactly when Giants are entering the area. And the Giants, they have no idea what's going on. So Schalke are stalking right now, looking for a pick on anyone that walks in.
Okay, and Chachi trying to bait it out in the mid. But all of Schalke pushing the wave to the bottom. Let's see how Giants are able to react to this one. Remember, if it does come down to a fight in the Dragon Pit, Giants might have the edge with Ruin's Equalizer, but they've got to get a good flank on.
I think Ruin has to use his Equalizer here to actually clear away this minion wave.
Abyssal Voyage coming in. Okay, looks like the Gragas is going to get rooted. Schalke decide not to take the fight.
Yeah, Joko on the flank, the Abyssal Voyage coming in as well, meant that Giants were ready to stop that one, and Ruin holds on to his cooldown, which is very important moving in to this Elder Dragon fight. Giants were able to get a few wards down themselves, but Schalke have now cleared them out, and they're going to have to go in fast, because this Baron, this Elder is going down swiftly.
Yeah, half damage. That's what happens when you have the Kaisa on top of it. Now here comes the Poppycopter. Not going to find anybody on this one. The Baron, the Dragon, I should say, is still up for grabs. It's going to get smited down by Nukeduck. And meanwhile, the fight's already on, but Vander's going to fall after this one. Let's see if Schalke can still find the fight they're looking for. Get the stun up onto the Gragas. Down he goes. Rather, Gruen is going to be the one to fall, and that means that all the damage the Giants have is pretty much gone down to 0. Guardian Angels getting popped left, right, and center. Now Nukeduck and the rest of Schalke finding the fight, finding the lead, finding the win that they so desperately need. Betsy desperately trying to hold on himself, but I don't think there's a whole lot of hope left for Giants here in this game, Ender.
He's going for the fancy plays, trying to juke away from Chachi, but it's going to be really tough to get out of this one.
Dodges. Chachi just keeps chasing him down and gets out of the tornado. We just keep on watching it. That's going to be the ace, and up next, it's the base.
Yeah, it's looking like it's over here for Schalke with the Elder Dragon bonus and the minion waves in this bottom lane. They won the team fight, they secured the objective, and they're going to walk away with the win.
Well, Schalke very happy with how this game is played out for the most part. It was definitely tense for a while. Very close. Giants tried to keep it so, but Schalke no fear will walk away with a victory, improving to 3-4. And who knows, maybe after this game, it really is the year of the duck.
It's the Friday of the Duck. I'll give him that. I need to see more out of Nuke Duck, some more wins, some more great performances like that one before I give him the full year. But they showed a different style here with Schalke. Pulled out the funnel to be the third team here in EU to show they can do it.
Successfully executing. So Schalke can hold their heads high as they open week 4 with a much-needed victory. I like the evolution here.
I like the evolution from Schalke. Giants, too, did show some bright moments in that game. I think they can walk away with this one. Disappointed that they didn't pull out the win, because I do think it was very winnable for them. They showed a lot of good moments in that, too, in the right direction for the team.
There was improvement in the game itself. You could see at the beginning it seemed like there was a lot of synergy issues. Ruin popping his TP perhaps a little too late, not in the right spot. But once they started to gel, there were some really good fights in the later stages of the game, crucially against the really strong Kaisa. It just wasn't enough, and, well, the Elder kind of flipped it.
Yeah, the Elder flipped, I think, playing around the Baron buff as well really was all Schalke favored. They understood how to control that mid lane, walk back for the objectives, and just keep Giants on this tightrope where they couldn't make a single mistake. Otherwise, Schalke were definitely going to punish for the win.
So Schalke pulling away from the pack a little bit here and showing that they definitely belong in that tier of middle teams. If they had lost this game, we would start to have that discussion. Are they down there alongside Giants, alongside H2K? Well, they've clearly proved that they are a cut above for the time being, and they need to keep doing this if they want to make that playoff.
They keep doing it against the teams higher in the standings as well to be able to breach into that 6th place. They want to be going to playoffs. This team went through a rebuilding here, bringing in Amazing to now support the team, I guess, to funnel his guys.
I don't know. I thought he was supposed to be important.
Yeah, I thought he was supposed to be the shot caller, but apparently he's just a bronze player.
Supports are the best shot callers. Yeah, that's fine. You don't need to worry about hitting your smite anymore, so that's fine for Amazing and for the rest of the team. I do want to note, though, that Schalke, the strength of schedule gets a little easier from here on out. They've got Splice, H2K, Unicorns all lined up over the next day and next week. So they faced pretty much like the tippity top of the EU LCS in the first couple weeks. All things considered, being 3 and 4 is not all that terrible right now.
And they trialed the funnel composition against Giants. It worked. It's another strategy they can add to their arsenal and look forward, saying that they have some more tools that they can use. They have differences in their play that they can try to throw people off guard with.
Absolutely. Now, if you guys have a favorite performer, be sure to tell us at LOE Sports on Twitter. Get the player of the game vote. Nuke Duck, Upset, and Vander are your choices. Remember, the funnel isn't just about the guy being funneled, but I kind of feel like I know where this one's going.
Everyone's going to vote for Nuke Duck. It's not fair.
It's the Friday of Nuke Duck, man.
Yeah.
Of course. So, go vote for who you want. But for more insight on that game, let's check in with Laura and Schalke's mid laner.
Thank you very much, Pyra. The funnel comp indeed really nicely put here. How do you handle the fact that you're the main carry in the team in those moments, playing the Kaisa?
Yeah, it can be quite stressful, because if you die, you might just lose the game. But I also feel like really confident playing it, so it's pressure that I embrace. Yeah.
Well, here you've been fed pretty early, even though you had some difficulties to close out the game. How do you explain that?
Yeah, I think we definitely misplayed later in the game, but early game we just played really well, I think, because we were really ahead in farm while also getting kills. So I think we played really well in the early game and then really lacking later, which is a kind of a story from our team lately.
And you closed it out in the end, and it must be really nice for you guys to grab another win. Now, what do you need to do as a team to stay in the playoff race?
We definitely need to fix our late game and our closing, because right now our early game is pretty good. I think good enough to be in playoff easily. So yeah, we just have to work on closing games. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again on this one, and good luck for the rest of the split. Now we're gonna take a short break, and right after it's gonna be Rocket versus UOL. Take it away.
Just kidding, surprise analysis.
We have a new break screen.
She obviously got fed some misinformation there. Would end on a high note. End on a high note. Why are you? Let me talk.
Sorry.
End on a high note talking to Nuke Duck. And you said it at the beginning of this week. Now you can talk that this was really a pivotal week for Schalke. They have to start winning games, so you'll be happy, even if their late game is lacking.
And I also said year of
the duck.
Of the duck. I asked for Visachachi, I got Nuke Duck. It's fine. Final comp, ladies and gentlemen, the draft. Any things you guys want to point out from either team?
Well, I felt like they just... let's start with the bot lane. Please, Attila.
Everyone's just giving each other questions. It's
just go left. There's a guy there. No.
Yeah. I think the bot lane of Giants is really bad. Overall, I think the picks that they picked, when you know exactly the bot lane that they are going to match, you didn't abuse it at all. You're giving your players the last two picks, and they're just getting shoved in by a support and an Alistar, which I think it's horrible. And after that, they didn't do anything at all proactive, I think.
Do you think this fits in this whole kind of Giants game plan of going later in the game? Obviously, when you do have an Ezreal, you know, well, it'll take a while for me to get online anyway. And what do you think about that strategy in that regard?
I think the problem, you could see the idea, maybe there was a combo, Gragas, Yasuo. The problem is you have a weaker early game.
Ender, we're analyzing, actually, so you can come back later.
Okay.
Carry on, Yamato Cannon.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about how they had this combo of Gragas Yasuo, but
Yes.
then...
So there's a combo with the Gragas Yasuo, but you're trying to execute that in later parts of the game against a Braum, Morgana, and you try to latch onto only one target. It's impossible. If Schalke played correct, they lost at one team fight when they kind of ran it down, but if they played correct, they have so many ways to deny this combo and just peel for Kai'Sa. So they get outscaled and they have a stronger early. It's really, really difficult to
And
win
that
them.
is exactly what happened. Yukdok was saying that he's happy with the early game. So let's take a look at Kai'Sa getting fed, brought to you by Acer Predator. Because the Fisher, when you're playing funnel, this is exactly what you want.
Yeah, I mean, so you have one lane that can't lose, which is the bot lane. They can't really punish your mid lane either with the combo they had. So Nukta could kind of roam to bottom side a lot of times and just get a lot of free kills, which is exactly what he did. And we've now learned when G2 play funnel, they like to do the same. It's not just sit mid and do nothing else. And if you give over free kills to the Kai'Sa, you tend to lose because you're not supposed to win the team fights against it later. And generally Giants, I guess if there's one team, or there's two teams that I would always pick funnel against, it's Giants and H2K, because they just can't draft and punish you in the early game. And Nukdog should never be getting 3 kills for nothing, basically.
When we talk about Giants, and it is kind of the same problem as it is with H2K, when it came down in summer, their average win time was 32 minutes for Giants. Now the only game they won was 45 minutes in total. And when the meta is so fast, you're just not going to be able to win games if you're not playing to those strengths, which is becoming a huge problem for them. But I do want to point out, Schalke closed out the game. Schalke had a huge win, but there is one particular team fight in the mid game where we were all surprised that they might still lose the game. And Attila, maybe walk me through this, because this is a moment where the Kai'Sa is extremely fed, where basically they only have to close out the game, and then Giants does this. What happens here?
I mean, basically, Nuktak realized he doesn't take that much damage and starts auto-attacking people, but Amazing decides to run it down a little bit, and then they just kept fighting into a choke point where they get 3-man Yasuo Tornado with Equalizer under their feet, and then are like, oops, we might have took the wrong fight.
Yeah, I mean, nice Equalizer. We were calling out Ruin before, and he did do some good things in this game.
He had a solid game. The win wall blocking the Braum mold, definitely also, as Attila highlighted, hurt Amazing quite a lot in that specific fight. Still, even after that one, it felt like Giants were not supposed to win more fights, because this was in a choke point. It was like the perfect setup possible. And I can already, spoiler alert, the next team fight at the Elder Drake, not only do they lose the Elder Drake, they also fight out in the open, and then Schalke should be able to win every time.
Okay, Yamato, maybe you run us through this last replay. It is where it seals the deal for Schalke. It could become dicey, but in the end, they're able to win the fight. It's going to be up in just a second. There we go.
I think in this case, it kind of highlights how easy it is for them to prevent the Gragas from actually do anything. There's the Alistar combo, there's also the Poppy W to stop Gragas from coming in. They have the Elder Dragon with the 4 Drakes. It's so easy for them to just clean up. Nuktak with his cocktail build with the Frozen Mallet that I don't like, still does enough damage because of the Elder.
Build.
It's
Rage Blade and the Frozen Mallet.
I mean, Attila, we see a lot of Kai'Sa players go AP. He went full AD in this one. What's your opinion on that, and why do you think he did it?
I think he didn't go full AD, he went full non-confidence. Like he went Scimitar when you have nothing to Quicksilver on, you go Frozen Mallet when you have like two supports and you have like a Morgana full AP black shielding you every single fight. I think like if you're as confident as he says, just go
To me,
damage.
this screams typical the way Schalke approaches games, because yes, they go for funnel, and yes, their mid is extremely fed and they are in a funnel comp, but they still feel like they need that extra protection, as you say. They don't just want to go ham and go in all in for all those team fights, which is why I think it's great that they won, but I'm not entirely convinced. They play Splice tomorrow, and that for me is going to be a big test again as to if Schalke is really on the rails now.
I can guarantee you, as long as they keep beating the bottom 5 teams, they don't care how they're playing right now. They just need enough wins to get in the playoffs. Then you have a week to worry about, are we going to get 3-0 in a quarterfinal or not, but at least get into top 6. Because they didn't do that last split.
I think in this game it worked because Giants draft, there was no redemption. There was no light. There was a tunnel, and in the end, there was just nothing. The tunnel was, it was just a...
There was just a tunnel.
Yeah, it was just a tunnel.
Unless it was 55 minutes, maybe.
Not even then.
Yeah.
Like, they get outscaled because Kaiser will use 1v9. She scales like a beast, and there was just no redemption. I blame this completely on draft, and I think if it was a composition that scaled a bit better for Giants, maybe they could do something.
Calling out Cubs, there we go, from Yamato. And not calling out Nukduk because he had a fantastic game with a little blip in the middle. He is the player of the game with 67% of the votes, which is like the least surprising thing we're going to hear all day. But good for him. And when Nukduk is doing well, usually Schalke does well as well.
It is truly the year of Nukduk.
The year of...
Or the Friday of Nukduk, as you said, for now.
We will see. Well, thank you guys very much for analyzing this game with me. And two of Schalke's competitors, they are up on the stage right now in that race for playoffs. The Unicorns of Love versus Rocket. And also
Good
coming
game.
up later tonight, it is our match of the week between the undefeated Misfits and G2 Esports. Let's get a taste of the action.